This is episode 7, by the way.
7.
I have a few episodes that I haven't aired yet, but I think they're like back burner episodes.
Back burner episodes. What is this supposed to be, a main episode?
Well, I mean, like, it's like filler up. Click go, and wherever it goes, it goes.
So this is episode 7.
Yeah.
You know what's great about episode 7?
It's like Tower 7.
Shit. Start strong here. No, I was gonna say, you know what's great about episode 7?
What?
It's better than episode 6. Or it's one more episode than episode 6. So by
But you can say that about literally any number.
Oh shit, you're right. So that means that I'm worse than 8. Or
Yeah.
by association, I'm worse than 8. But if we're talking about Star Wars, episode 7 is clearly better than episode 8.
How about just the originals and the prequels?
The prequels, as bad as Phantom Menace was and stuff, you gotta appreciate it.
Val, how we doing?
I don't see you on the camera, though.
You don't see me on the camera? Is the camera dead?
I don't know.
Is the camera on at all?
I don't fucking know.
I see Julien. Julien's moving. YouTube is not receiving ad video communicates to the screen, as such your viewers will experience buffering.
Okay, it says it's on.
Oh, it's on Julien's camera, but I don't see on yours.
I just turned the camera back on.
This is what I see.
Oh, really? Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously
You don't
because
see-
you're here now. But
Oh.
when you were there, it was exactly the same thing. Julien, can you go on?
Wave your hand in front of my camera.
Are you doing that right now?
Yeah. Got nothing?
Go back into the capture, the camera 1. And then go into video capture device. The regular. And then I think that's the right thing. Go to device, camera. Where's the surface camera?
Oh, maybe because it was here before.
Vous me voyez pas?
Nope.
We don't see Julien either now.
No, Julien, can you go back?
Okay, there. Now we see that.
It was working like.
If it's gonna be that much of a bitch, I'm gonna have a. I'm just gonna put this. Plug it. It wants to be a bitch. It wants to. This is like it's full battery. You know.
C'est bien connecté celui-là? Because the other camera's working, right? And it's connected to the same thing. We're gonna need that wine later. Je pense que c'est quand on a connecté à YouTube, il y a des problèmes.
Should I stop the streaming?
No,
Okay.
we're trying to fix it. It was a sound issue. Now the camera is having issue. What the fuck happened? The camera was working.
I don't know, man. is why you need a Nick. I'm telling you.
Nick can't commit to anything, so.
Why? Yeah, but at least he knows his shit. I can offer you moral support.
How about oral support?
Whoa! Not if you spill my drinks.
How about oral support?
I don't like Italian sausage.
Hey, Serge said, yo.
Hey, Serge! We're trying to fix some problems here, so.
Serge, help us.
Oh, fuck the fuck off.
Just move the fucking camera, bud. Recule là.
Or you guys should just go on the same webcam and do the show.
Like a sideways.
Aw.
That's weird, man.
No, it'll be fine.
I don't like sharing
we
cams.
we got a fucking another camera.
Am I supposed to see it here?
You're going to change the input to the camera. So go back to inputs, yeah, for that one. No, it's not there. You have to double click on video capture device. And then into that, and then go to either that one or the other one. That's the one. There you go.
Cool. Okay, well that works.
Hi, Serge.
We're gonna use that instead. Okay.
Hi, Serge.
We are still on, guys.
We're on? Okay. Alright, well
Alright.
we fixed we're fixing problems.
Presumably, everything is good to go.
Okay. Alright, in positions.
Assume your positions.
Okay.
Hold on, man. Fucking obstacle course here.
We're gonna figure out the cable situation at some
I'm
point.
gonna have a fire ass.
Okay, it's working, guys, and it's going on the YouTube live. So
Okay.
Alright, baby. Finalement, Chris.
Alright. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're live. This is episode 7 of the Conscious Queries podcast. Thank you for joining us. A little bit of technical difficulties, but we're figuring it out. New studio. Beautiful new studio.
I
So
like this studio more than Joe Rogan's new studio.
a lot of people are not liking it for some reason.
You know
it's
what I think it
very
is?
critical, you know.
I think it's a cool design. Like,
Yeah.
I like the tubular thing, but I think it's too red. It's too much red.
A lot of people were saying that. My
Yeah.
favorite tweet about it was how it looks like a Klingon warship.
Oh, totally. Just a little bit
Basically.
less deformed humanoids on it.
And, well, I mean, I feel like, yeah, maybe
But maybe he can,
a bit less
bring
red
some on,
light
you know
or
what I mean?
change the light colors or
Well, see, that
something
would
like
be a
that.
sweet setup, like you had here. You can kind of
this light right here.
change the
It's
vibes,
supposed
right?
to be a smart light. It's supposed to change colors, but I still haven't figured out how to connect it properly. So I'm like, you know.
Among other things.
Yeah. Still, you know, a bit of cable management is going on, and then camera issues. I still don't know how professionals do DSLR with like long battery connection, because for me it doesn't seem, I can't seem to connect like a recharging wire to it and be
Right.
recording at the same
And their
time,
DSLR batteries are pretty shit most of the time.
which is exactly why I had to get an adapter that puts in 2 batteries into it instead
Yeah.
of 1. So that gives me a good 2-3 hours of recording, which is ideal.
Which is actually pretty good. But
Which is why I thought it was gonna work, but
Yeah.
for some reason it wasn't working. So we
Yeah.
switched to
But,
to some webcams
hey man, it's
instead.
2020. Nothing is working. So.
Nothing's working out the way we wanted this year. Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? It's funny
it's a
because like,
setback. It's okay.
seeing even like not a you got some equipment here, but it's still like when you think about like a professional setup, there's a lot going on there, and it makes you wonder like how the hell do they get like shit on the space station working, and like if you're
It really makes you
the
think
fucking
long
middle
and
of the ocean
hard
or
how it's like, oh, I can do that. It's easy.
yeah
I can.
yeah, it
Anyone can
seems
just
easy. Just
use a
cables
phone,
and inputs, right? Like
use
I
a
can do
phone
that.
and record. It's like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
just use a phone.
Sometimes I have trouble
But
just like putting
there's a
my
million
guitar
different
jack,
way-
you know what I mean?
And that's one thing I learned along the way of figuring this out is there's not one universal method or one clear-cut way of doing this. There's no because you ask anybody, they're going to give you different cameras, they're going to give you different equipment, and they're going to be like, well, you don't actually need this, you actually need
Right.
a different kind of mission. And you're like, okay, well, there's like the possibilities are endless, so you have to just like, and a lot of it is budget. It's a budget thing,
For sure. You have to
especially with
invest into your
cameras,
thing.
right? Because
Yeah,
like cameras, they're very expensive for really good cameras, so
they are.
that's a big and of course every podcast in the world has those $600 microphones.
Yeah,
Yet
I don't know.
this $120 one works pretty fine, you know. I
Well,
find.
that's the thing. It depends what you use it for, right?
Yeah,
You know, if you're gonna go on Call Her Daddy and just talk about dicks all day, then you probably need a decent mic because you need to get all the little details in there. But if you're gonna do something like this, where we bullshit, but we also talk about real stuff, but we're still bullshitting, you know what I mean? It's
sure.
like, this is fine.
This is fine.
I like it.
Okay.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Fucking finally got it going.
No kidding. This is. I'm fine. Yeah. Thank you, Val.
Yeah, Val, what's up?
You guys.
Good. How many viewers we got right now, Val?
We are 2 right now.
What?
And Serge just said, "Let's go." But that was like.
Let's go, baby. What's up,
Surge.
2 viewers? How's it going?
You know, this is the stepping stones. This is how things begin.
It is. Think
You know.
I hate to bring Joe Rogan up again, but think about how small his operation was when it started. He had a repute as a comic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like it was like this. It was like just chilling with buddies.
Except
and-
there were snowflakes going through the screen.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Like his first episodes?
Yeah, there was
That's what we
bubbles,
need.
and he was.
We should
It's
do.
them screwing around with the settings, basically.
Right. Just like young Jamie figuring it out. Well, we should do the like
Even before Young Jimmy, it was just him and Red
Just him and
Band
Red
and him and Duncan Trussell.
Well, we should do like the Snapchat dog filter. And that's like a thing.
A whole episode through
Yeah.
a Snapchat dog filter.
Oh man, do you think that would work?
Maybe for the younger demographics.
We'd probably get posted on like Vox or something. It's like,
I saw people were trying to get plastic surgery to look more like Snapchat filters.
no, come
Yeah.
on. Like
That's where
the
America's
Warbly
going.
face ones.
Who knows? I think it was just like
What?
the like one with big eyes and like
Right,
you,
yeah.
you have a rainbow coming out of your
Yeah,
mouth,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, it's funny because like
don't
I
know.
was actually watching videos like of this show. I forget what it's called, but it's people that have crazy plastic surgery. One person wants to look like a space elf, or like they want to turn their skin blue or something, and it's like you gotta wonder what's going on in their head, because it's like, man, I wouldn't personally walk down the street and see a person with blue skin and be like, I want to be friends with that guy. You know what I mean?
Looks like a Smurf.
Right? Well, it just
Or
looks
like a
an
can of
alien or
paint blew up
something.
and
Yeah. I don't know. It's like it's weird, but it's crazy. It is a thing that people do.
it looks like he robbed the bank and he got ink
Right?
splattered.
Or like he's like the whatever
Blue
fifth
Man-
member of
Blue
the
Man
Blue Man
group?
group that
Yeah.
was never accepted into it.
You know what's weird about that is like it wasn't just like one group of people. It's like been franchised where there's like different Blue Man groups
Oh,
all
yeah.
over the world.
Well, it's an act.
It's
It's like a
become an-
show.
yeah.
It's a show.
and same thing
production.
with like Cirque du Soleil and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
They don't use the same actors all
No,
the
for
time.
sure. Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
do
Well,
production.
It's a brand, right?
It's a brand.
You go
yeah.
there to see the brand.
Yeah.
And, you're gonna expect that the actors or whoever's performing there is going to keep up their end of the bargain, but
Mhm.
you're going there to see the brand.
That's
Which is
true.
cool because it's like kind of like globalizing like art. You know what I
It
mean?
is, eh?
Yeah.
Because if somebody calls in sick, there's at least
Yeah.
2 or 3 other people that
Exactly.
do your exact same
Yeah.
role.
Not only that,
know
there's
it.
like 6 people on the back burner that are waiting
Yeah.
to get their applications. in,
Wow.
so.
And I guess that's really changed a lot because of the past 6 months. So now,
Oh yeah.
Concerts, festivals,
What are concerts again?
any kind of like performances like that are like nightclubs. Everything is basically.
It's all
Mm.
live streams now though,
It's all live streams.
which
it's
is
all
cool.
online.
But it also kind of sucks because it's so not personal. The fun of going to a concert is being there and feeling the bass in your chest, or
Or the interactions,
the interactions
you have with the
all,
people
with
you
all the
meet
people
there.
around, and getting in the pit or something.
Yeah.
But when you're live streaming, it's cool, and like first of all, it's hard to get good sound from a band on a live stream.
Yeah.
But what's more important than that is the energy, and you just don't get it. If you ask me.
That's basically the same thing with doing interviews like this, but instead it's on like Zoom or Skype.
Right. Skype
It's-
meetings.
It's
Yeah.
even if I can get you a good mic so it sounds decent audio, it's not the same connection
It's not.
where
It's
it's not as personal.
it's
yeah.
almost like uncanny valley. It's like the person is there, but you know it's not a real person in front of you. You know what I mean? I can't touch your face on my laptop. You know what I mean? Not that I would be touching your face right now. I definitely wouldn't be touching your face right now. But
But isn't it funny how now with the internet, where we can actually, with paying nobody any money except for like the internet bill, I'm able to get Zoom connection and
Right.
get people across the world on a show.
Yeah.
And better connection than the satellite of modern media, where
Yeah.
there's like a 10-second pause in between delay, and you're like, yeah, we're here in the tropics.
Right.
Thank
Yeah.
you, back in the
I mean,
studio.
it is pretty amazing.
And now
it's
I can do that instantly and have
Right.
instant conversations.
not only
Not
that,
even a delay.
you don't even have to be a big platform to do that. You know?
Exactly. It doesn't
You
even
can do-
cost
you
any
can do
money.
Anybody. And like, look at how many people want to be Twitch streamers or something. People that want to, just game for a living. That's all they do is you put the stream, and maybe they'll get like 2 viewers, like probably we have right now, maybe
Exactly.
0. I don't know, but
You got to
anyone
start
can do it.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
it's something that almost anyone can do, but it's a lot of personality, a lot of character,
it is.
and especially in like streaming for video
Oh,
games, you
big
got to
time,
be
man.
good.
Well,
if you're garbage,
dude,
who's
see,
gonna watch you
well,
if
first,
you can't
that's
beat
true.
any
You
levels?
have to, first of all,
if
you got to be
can't-
good at the games.
You
Like,
get frustrated,
you have
and
to
you're
have
like, throw your controller and leave.
right, which is probably what I would do. But like most people don't understand that like it's a huge commitment. Like 12 hours of gaming a day, at least, probably, right? And you're just sitting in front of a computer that entire time.
It becomes a job,
It
just
is
like
a
any
job,
other
yeah.
job.
And that's kind of the biggest fear, right? You don't want your passion to become a job.
And so this is kind of like how in a lot of industries have monopolized like artistic endeavors
Right.
and things like that. Not only just music, but like podcasting, and now even more like photography and all that's things where it's outsourced, or it's utilized now with streaming services.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's a lot harder for artists to find an audience
Oh yeah.
and be part of the algorithm, or it's kind of
Well-
difficult, because before you would get radio station and it would be up to that person to say, through my judgment of talent, I'm going to tailor these bands in my show and show these people the bands I've discovered. And that's how you discover music. Now it's like you're at the whims of algorithm, and you're at the whims of Google, where even if I want to write a book and sell a book, who am I going to? I'm going to Amazon, I'm going to Google, I'm going to these big companies. Like, where else am I going to sell my book?
And the biggest problem
At
with
the
that,
corner?
yeah, at the corner bookstore, yeah.
At the-
But the biggest problem with that is that people then have to kind of cater to what the companies want to sell, right?
Exactly.
So you're kind of foregoing your artistic integrity, for more sales. You're selling out, really. And maybe that's the most financially viable option that you have. But
as an artist, isn't like, if you want to, the very definition of being a successful artist is you sell enough to not have any other job.
depends on your definition of success.
Well,
Like-
exactly, right? Some
right.
people are very satisfied being
If you're satisfied,
part-time musicians
Yeah.
and being in a garage band.
Right.
I mean, that's fine,
that's not making it.
but that's not making it.
Yeah.
Making it is, you're getting checks in the mail,
Yeah.
and you have a licensing deal,
Hell yeah.
or you're selling out theaters, or you're selling out books, copies of books. Or
That's such a
something, right?
tiny percentage of acts that
Yeah.
it's almost like not even a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like non-existent. That's why it's kind of, we're just talking about this. It's a good thing that we have these platforms to be able to share everything that we make, but it's also kind of shitty because then you don't get to necessarily make the stuff that you really want to make. And so you have to make a name for yourself first.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of go from there. Look at the big directors in Hollywood. Most of them started, doing like kind of shitty B movies or whatever in the 80s. And then as soon as they acquire a rep, then you can start making big movies. Look like Peter Jackson, his first movie, super gory zombie movie. Like, probably not a lot of people in North America have seen it. And then he somehow moves up to Lord of the Rings. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of kind of suck in the corporate dick, if you will. and yeah, eventually you get to a point where you can
At
do
least
what you
now
want.
it's changing so much that it's no longer, especially in entertainment, it's no longer monopolized.
Right.
Because, we can't have a giant Hollywood where everybody just meets there and films movies. Now, nobody's going to theaters anymore. So now it's changing how
That was
people,
dying before the apocalypse anyway.
right? So now everything's changing even faster than
Right.
it was. So it's not helping. It's not helping the industry or the small people. This is where it becomes difficult. When the going gets tough for the large businesses, those big monopolies, it's going to be even tougher for all those content creators or
Oh, yeah.
for all those artists
Yeah.
providing those services, right?
Right.
If nobody's making movies, then Netflix doesn't have a business to
Yeah.
sell.
You
So
need
they need
you
to
need
be
product, man.
investing. They need a product to
Yep.
put on the shelf.
right.
And I guess this is kind of the turning point where it becomes the monopolies and it becomes Google and YouTube's choice and tailoring what we see, what we hear. This is all what we were talking about. This new documentary that came out on Netflix called The Social Dilemma about social media and how it affects
Okay.
us and how
Haven't seen it.
it's really good. I just watched it today. It's kind of scary, you already know your phone's listening to you.
Oh, of course. I'm sure I'm
Giving you
on like
ads.
40 different watch lists already.
And so, but it's going in and taking it further where they're kind of socially engineering people now and skewing people into directions and
Oh, yeah.
political camps where
For sure.
because of clickbait and because of outrage media, it's
yeah.
become the name of the game to be producing that kind of content that
It gets
gets
clicks, man.
interaction, gets people to come back and grow the
Well, for
social
sure.
media platform.
What is a better clickbait than political rage? There's almost nothing better. How
Because
many-
it's important that you tell all your friends about it.
Oh yeah, you got to make sure you're on the right side.
It's not just
too.
like
Yeah.
a recipe for
Yeah.
oatmeal. You need to tell all your friends about the and why
Yeah.
you're on the wrong side of history.
That's
if
right.
you're not on
Yeah.
my side.
Yeah. That's right. I am the virtuous one here.
It's a lot of virtue signaling, yeah,
Well, there.
or patting yourself on the back.
What's so weird about that kind of aspect of social media is that,
Ego petting.
well, you speak to somebody in person and they seem rational, and they seem like they can
So
think
and we
things
always
through.
abstract people to be evil or to
Right.
be
But it's-
different and other.
But it's
but
so much easier to
When
do
you
that
talk
on the
to
internet.
people, exactly. But
Yeah.
when you talk to people face to face, usually most of the time they're probably respectful. To you.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It seems like people, when they're talking face to face, maybe you have more time to think things through, or maybe you're keeping.
And you
faith or
actually have a
something.
bit more of consequences.
Yeah, there's
when-
actual
when-
consequence to what you say, for sure.
Unlike when
Unlike an
you're
anonymous,
you're on Call of Duty
you
server
can just talk shit to anybody.
where
Yeah.
oh man, that was the real trash talk of the early 2000s.
I don't
man.
even want to know what's being said now.
Do you
It's
want to
probably
hear
awful.
threats to your life and your family? You
Right.
want to hear inappropriate behavior and
Don't you talk
things-
about my mom, dude.
this
You
is
don't know her.
go play some Call of Duty.
Right.
So I mean, this is, and it's like, that's the same generation. That's the snowflake generation now.
The snowflake generation. But that as much flack as that term gets, it's kind of true, man. People are very sensitive, like very, very sensitive, to the point where you can't even
It's a
speak
lot
your
of
mind in
outrage
school,
on
man.
behalf of other people instead of just
That's right. Yeah.
living your life and saying life isn't perfect.
Well, when you think about it, we're living in probably, especially here in Canada, one of the best societies for humans that's ever been. And people are still getting upset about things. You know what I mean? And it's not to say that there isn't always room for improvement, because there is. But I think when you start picking out all the little things in life that maybe you see as being unfair, which maybe aren't, that kind of, it's a very toxic mindset. You know what I mean? It tends to erode what we have going right now.
But it is very difficult because right now in the West, there's a lot of our institutions are losing their trust and eroding culturally.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
We're losing trust in our democracy. We're
course.
losing trust in our justice system.
Right.
Our media is no longer trustworthy. So
I think the media is
where do
probably
we
the worst
turn?
one. Yeah.
They're the ones.
Right. You know where I think we turned? I think we turned to long form conversations like this. And that's been said a lot, in a lot of podcasts by a lot of people.
It's the only place where you can actually get information.
Right. It's
not
not quick fire news segment, where somebody has to get their very surface
Within
level
2
ideas
minutes.
out in 2 minutes. You can actually go in depth to what you want to say. And,
It's amazing how format makes such a difference.
it's a huge difference.
And it's kind of basically a really good point where a celebrity wants to make an apology. If they go on
Right.
David Letterman, they get laughed at.
it's disingenuous.
And it's disingenuous because it's a Tonight Show.
Right.
You can't do it there.
No.
Where you do an apology or you do some public thing like that on a long form podcast where you can
Right.
actually
Go into it.
go into it
Yeah.
and explain yourself and actually have a conversation
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
So it's it's amazing how it didn't come out sooner. It only came out when the internet came out. But I mean, before that, it was the radio,
Right.
but even radio got taken over by ads and mostly advertisement very early on.
But I mean, I feel like every entertainment format eventually gets monetized like that. You know what I mean?
Basically, now
There's
going on
no
with
escape.
podcasts
There is
right
no
now.
escape.
A lot of podcasts that I watch have 4 ads, two
Right,
two
on
ad
a-
breaks.
On like a 10-minute, 20-minute video.
Well, it's an hour, and then there's 10-15 minutes of ads
And
in
you-
an hour. So,
And see that
yeah.
doesn't seem that bad when you think about it.
but it's always
but-
been like that, right? Remember before, I'm pretty sure before TV shows were a bit longer, and then it was like 27 minutes, 3
Oh,
minutes
really?
of
I
ads.
didn't know that.
25
Now
minutes.
it's all 22.
22 minutes.
Yeah.
And maybe soon
it's
it'll
gonna
be
get even less than
20
that.
minutes
That's
and
true.
10 minutes of ads.
There's
you know?
always was it like 5 minutes of the sitcom. or
because
whatever
it'll be
you're watching,
that
and then-
because they need to be able to enough cable people that pay for cable
right
need
they
to
need
pay
get,
for
they
pay
need to
for
get their
cable.
money.
so that'll have to go up.
Yep.
And more ads, less content. But you know what? The medium is the message. Michael McLuhan. This is like stuff from the 70s and 80s. We knew that was what was going on, is people taking advantage of people and using psychological advertising and campaigning on the media fronts.
Right.
And where television is no longer about the CSI in Miami. It's the security and comfort between in the ads that they give you. So CSI Miami is and the news, the chaotic news of people dying. That's to really demoralize you. And then the comfort comes in with the commercials where they tell you,
Right.
I'm going to sell you your safety, your comfort, all your creature comforts that you want. And you say, oh, well, I got it better than whoever's dying or wherever there's a tsunami. So,
Right.
whew, I'm having a pretty good life so far.
It's
you know?
pretty amazing. All these psychological tricks that companies use to get you hooked, even if you don't realize it's happening. No matter what you're doing, you're always internalizing that. It's pretty crazy. I mean, just seeing a new car ad, it's always the only car on the road. So it's very easy to spot. It's like you see that, and it's like, damn, that car looks fucking
And
nice.
it always has music to it.
Always,
or
if
some
you're
kind
watching a
of
truck commercial, there's always
special
some,
kind of music.
yeah, exactly. Some Dodge Ram, and it appeals to your character. Like, you have to
Yeah.
be this certain type of person to drive this car. And it's like, even if you scoff at that, you're still internalizing that in a way. And
But
so
isn't it funny how they show you a person driving it like
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey?
Oh,
and
yeah.
They sell
He's
you.
got to be cool and suave.
They sell you the coolness.
They
but
sell you the
instead
image.
of being
Yeah.
like.
It's like the lifestyle that goes along with it.
But I want my ad to be like an academic ad. Like, all right, here's the horsepower.
That's not
Here's
gonna
the
sell.
motor. Here's the
here's the
fuel
specs,
efficiency, the specs, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, wow, I want that because of the specs. Thank you. That's a
Who-
good ad.
Okay, but realistically,
We're a
who's gonna look
Honda.
at
Come buy our Hondas. We're Honda.com. Thank you so.
who's
Like,
gonna
why,
see that?
why does it have to be all about selling sex
Because
or selling like a
sells, man.
personality of a
You need
culture,
shebang. You need
personality.
spunk. You know what I mean? You need character. If you just show like a blueprint of something, no
Yeah.
one's gonna find that interesting. Maybe
Here's
the
the
nerds will
car.
find- right?
This is what you get.
See, that's cool.
It's
to
not good
do.
enough. You
It's
have to. You have
It's not
to
good enough. You gotta have explosions.
propagandize
Maybe a couple of tits. Maybe a really cute kitty. That'll sell you your car. You know what I mean?
I guess that's internet 101 for
It
you.
is,
If I
man.
had a cat, if I
You
brought
need
my
excitement.
cat, I bet you I'd get 100 views just because instead
'cause
of
it's a
2
cat.
views, just
Yeah.
because I got my
And-
cat.
And
Bring me
because
my
people
cat,
can
Val.
relate.
I'm just kidding.
Where's your cat? Oh, yeah.
It's probably upstairs.
Oh, we have
sleeping.
his Val, but every time I try to pet him, he gets kind of weird.
That's funny. Oh my god.
But it is interesting, man, because especially in the age we're living of today, just everything is so available. There's so much information. You know, it is very much the age of information.
Where
That
depending on how you Google things and depending on how you skew your political views, it'll give you different results
right,
on Google. So how can you have accurate information?
it's not. It's all
And
biased.
It's
It
all bias and echo chamber, and
Yeah.
even if you're trying to get out of that bubble.
Right. It
How hard
plays
is that?
upon your own personal bias. And
Yeah.
That's what it is, and that's what you're saying. The phones are listening to us, so they're probably listening to us right now. And they're
Well, why do you think I didn't get an Echo or an
yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
whatever? you
the
know?
what do you call it, Alexa or whatever.
Alexa, yeah. I don't have any one of those
Yeah.
because they've actually been used
know-
in court against
Have they
people.
really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they've been
Come
used in
on.
court against their own owners.
Like recording.
so
for
they'll
recording
snitch
and
on
stuff?
you. Yeah, your own device
Get
will
the
snitch
fuck-
on
no
you
way.
committing the things you're not supposed to be
Just
doing.
because it has like audio logs or something, or like.
It records everything. Of course, they don't tell you. They say they don't, but it has
That's
to.
Fucking crazy.
It has to. And then, a court judge subpoenaed them and said, "Give us
me your
give
Alexa?"
us the all everything." But see,
that is wild.
a lot of people don't realize this. If a court is looking into you, they have access to all your internet.
Oh, of course.
So, and see,
Yeah.
this is ironic because this lady, she was trying to commit insurance fraud by cutting
That's a
off
good
her
one.
hand. She took out 5 policies and cut off her hand. She legit cut off her hand. And she forgot her hand when she went to the hospital, hoping that she couldn't, so she could have permanent money coming in, right?
Right.
And so,
But-
but they caught her. They looked up. They checked their Google history, and
Yeah.
turns out they Googled
They got everything.
hand prosthetics days
Get the fuck outta here.
before,
Yeah.
and they were looking all, and they did all the insurance claims. They were
Right.
looking over that. So it's like,
I mean,
wow.
I'm not gonna lie. Those people are really fucking stupid. Because even if you get all that money, like your life's gonna be way harder.
If she
without a
would have
hand.
succeeded, she would have gotten a $500,000 check and checks for the rest of her life.
Yeah, but how much? Like what?
Like
we talking,
thousands of
couple
dollars a month.
thousands a month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better than AI.
Yeah, but
at
guess what?
700.
You can't even wipe your ass half the time because your hand's fucking gone.
You
So,
got
like,
another one. You just gotta chop off the one you use less.
It's not the same, man. It's not. The same. But that is pretty insane, though. I mean, there's no hiding.
You never have
anything.
to work
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
But it just goes to show you that you don't fuck with the government, man. Because it's government, man. You know what? It's true. Like, if there's anyone you don't want to be in debt to or, be in trouble with, it's those guys because they will always get what they want almost every single time. Just like you said with the hand.
The government doesn't like competition
No.
with being the cartel, being
That's
the
right.
people that take money
Well,
for
I
security.
mean, and that's probably a good thing. I think probably one of the best things
Right?
humanity's ever done was give power to the state, 'cause
right?
it would
Yeah.
be total anarchy otherwise.
It's a good way to organize society. And there's so far, I don't
Yeah.
think there's ever been
There's
a
never-
better system.
There's never been the ultimate virtuous philosopher king, so this is the best we've got.
We can always hope for one.
Maybe we should engineer one. You think that's a possibility?
Well,
China's probably on it right now.
I think it's possible that the AI will just take care of all the problems for us. It'll just be more efficient.
We are
that
the
way.
problem.
Yeah, well, this has always been the AI
Does it?
fear
see,
is
if
we're going to be
We're figuring that out before AI is even a thing. So how quickly will they figure that out? You know what I mean? Like
you just design it so that it doesn't
there's a fail safe, but
a fail-safe exactly.
But through time, don't you think it would maybe acquire that kind of?
It would
that
have
kind
to
of
be
computing
so
power?
intelligent that it would understand the philosophical concepts of the universe, where it would say,
through logic.
maybe all of the Earth can not exist anymore, and that's actually it'd be the Gnostic approach.
Right.
What if the AI goes full Gnostic on us and says we're actually in hell? We need to end the simulation.
Destroy everything.
That's kind of creepy and scary. I don't want to think about that.
Well, that's the worst case scenario, I guess. Best case scenario is that we get something like
But
Star
see,
Trek.
all of life is basically bacteria's growing and
Right.
evolving, trying to get better, competing with itself. So we can't distinguish ourselves from bacteria. So in the computer, in the AI computer, it has to identify that bacteria as
all you have to do
the source of life.
all you have to do is look at a picture of a city from outer space.
It looks like an ant farm or a
Or
bacteria
it looks
growing
like
in
a
Petri
growth,
dish.
like a mold growth or something, Yeah. And to me, it's the logical conclusion that this is not natural. When you think about it, we could be completely unnatural, it seems like, because we haven't found anything else out there so far except for maybe tiny bacteria. But to me, it seems as though maybe
well, the rest
life
of
is a
nature likes
mistake.
to go very chaotically and grow very
It's-
naturally.
Right.
Us, we like rectangles, we like straight lines, and we can see that from outer space. Our cities are all rectangles and lines and blocks.
Cul-de-sacs everywhere you go.
It's
man.
all like primary shapes. It's all like refined and
Right.
and very, I mean, it's like rudimentary, or it's like very like beginner stuff. It seems that like how nature built a tree, how it evolved to be a tree,
Right.
is so much more refined and so much more complicated than
Right.
us building a skyscraper or us
Yeah.
building anything really.
Well, that's humanity in a nutshell. Everything's angular and straight and organized. But when you, like you said, you look at a tree, the form isn't uniform, but it's probably a lot more beautiful.
And some
than
of the
anything we
leaves
could ever build.
shed, and when the winter comes, it sheds its leaves so it can survive.
That's right.
Like all these things, and it can make chemical compounds
We could never
to
figure something like
stop
that out.
like the gazelle from eating all its
Yeah.
leaves
Yeah.
and survive that way. It reacts to things, and it's constantly changing, and
But we are also the result of that natural process.
which
So
is why we're part of nature. We're not.
we are
We can't abstract ourselves.
too much. We
Exactly.
have to a little bit, because clearly we've been given the gift of reason, which every other animal doesn't have. Maybe dolphins, if they had hands.
But dolphins don't have physics. They don't have university where
Sure.
they're trying to discover atoms and hadron colliders.
Not yet.
I want to see Atlantis underground where
Yeah.
they have the dolphins working on their hadron collider.
I think Mu is the continent that's doing that.
Moo?
Yeah, you never heard of Mu? It's
No.
supposed to be Atlantis was in the Atlantic or whatever, and then Mu is
Oh.
kind of in between North and South America.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I never heard of that one.
You probably shouldn't look it up. It's all bullshit.
Well,
all those conspiracy theories, man, they're super fun, but it's complete and total nonsense,
how to kill an evening,
right?
basically.
I think everyone's had a phase in their life where they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna look up
But see,
reptilians.
Who
and
would put this much effort in wearing a
Right.
Bigfoot costume and going out and faking a video and being like,
there's
"We've
people.
like
There's people that would do that, man.
they got nothing better else to do. They don't.
People
wanna
waste
read
their
a book.
entire lives
They
doing
don't
nothing.
want to
man.
watch Jerry Springer.
How is that any better than actually making a hoax video? I feel like making a hoax video is better than watching Jerry Springer for sure.
I guess that's always gonna be a thing. People want to just mess with other people. They want to
Well, it's first of all, it's
create
fun,
entertainment. Yeah,
and you can monetize it. What's the
that's true.
super
They
famous?
probably made a bunch of money.
the
off of
Zapruder
those
film, the
things.
Bigfoot. The female Bigfoot walking that looks back at the guy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was a known con man. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the video is still being debated to this day, somehow. And I want to know how much money was actually made off of that.
Probably a lot.
Probably a decent amount.
Because America is all about the
sensationalize it,
sensationalizing.
for sure.
Cash Me Outside. We
Okay.
talk about all
Oh,
of
yeah.
this where
Oh yeah.
you're talking shit to your mom and to everybody on Dr. Phil,
Right.
and then you get a record label,
Right.
and
Now you're a millionaire.
now you're a millionaire
Yeah.
rapping,
Hell yeah.
and
It's the American dream, baby. It is frustrating to think about, but that's what it is. Like we were just talking about that, shebang sells, excitement sells, man. It's all the boring shit. Like us right now, we're not selling. We have what? We have 2 fucking viewers probably.
don't
But-
underestimate.
5 viewers. That's enough. That's enough to change the world, though. You know what I mean? If the
Like and
content is
subscribe and
real.
please share. Thanks so much.
Oh, he says 1. Okay, I heard 5. I'm gonna pretend there's 5. This probably
Thank you to
Surge.
the one person out there. but
But
don't worry.
it's true. Like you need.
We went up to 4 at some point.
Ooh.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay.
You gotta give me like a code word next time we get 4, so we can really bring out the cancel culture shit. You know what I mean? I'll help you get canceled real quick.
You're canceled.
All right, I won't go there then.
You're canceled.
You're canceled. I bet you.
It's whoever posts the tweet fastest,
Right.
and I'm already on
Well,
Twitter, so I'm
whoever-
gonna win.
Oh, I'm gonna misrepresent you first. You can't misrepresent me because that's what I'm doing to you. Okay.
So you're admitting you're gonna lie about me. Okay, good. I'm glad we have that on tape.
Yeah. No one cares about context. Context sucks, dude. You gotta make it. You gotta make it
goodness.
appealing, man. Save the turtles. You know what I mean?
Can you guess who's the one listener?
Surge. Save the
Surge.
turtles.
Yeah.
You keep drinking your Starbucks with a straw, and there'll still be turtles with the straw in their nose, like that one video everybody sees on Instagram.
The one really sad one.
The really sad video
Yeah.
where there's a straw in it.
But see,
But you know what? They're transitioning away. I heard like at least certain
the turtles are transitioning.
That's hilarious. But no, the Starbucks are going to strawless because of that. So guess what? It's gonna be, but it's only certain franchises. Other ones they say
They're going strawless.
they're going strawless, so
What are
it's
they
gonna
gonna
be
use?
sippy cups. You're
That's
gonna be drinking your coffee
fucking
from a sippy cup.
Bullshit. What am I? 4
Like,
years old?
Yeah, like you're a 4-year-old adult drinking your
Right.
iced coffee from
I
a
can't handle a
sippy
straw.
cup.
I can't handle a paper
It's like, what am
straw.
I not an adult?
Yeah.
I give me a straw,
Right.
please.
You know what they need to make is like an attachment for your phone where you just like pull out like a little straw or something.
Let's see, people are selling stainless steel straws, which is a
Right.
good
But
idea.
who's gonna carry that around with them?
You got to carry it around, and you
It's
got to clean
Super.
it.
You gotta clean it.
You got to clean it almost every time you use
Man.
it.
But the thing about that is like you'll never not have a straw with you. You know what I mean?
Which is very, very useful. Like
Right.
same thing with like
You can get used to
chopsticks, right?
Like a
You
phone.
get the stainless steel chopsticks; they'll last you a lifetime.
it. Yeah, we got a couple of those.
But so
It's like,
it's
why would you
still-
use chopsticks instead of a fork? Why would you use a sippy cup instead of a functioning straw?
But see, it's like A&W. They went paper, and then so you get two whole gulps before it all turns to paper mache, and your
Right.
straw is basically
Disgusting.
you know, you don't even know
It's
what
like
you're
you're-
sucking on.
You're like
anymore.
sucking on like pissy cardboard. It's disgusting. I hate it.
And I know they tried with the they put like a wax layer on it. They
Yeah.
tried, but
It's
not,
very difficult, man.
it's
But it's just
paper
funny.
doesn't go in liquids.
But it's all that to say that like it's just funny how the paper straw became this calling point for everyone to rally around. You know, and it was like everyone was into
Because
the
everybody
straw
saw
thing,
that one turtle video.
right? And it was sad. It was super
It's
sad.
very sad.
But you
But
know.
think about all the masks now and all the plastic gloves
Yep.
ending up in the ocean now
Oh, it must be
in-
horrendous.
because of COVID.
It must be. I didn't even think about that. That's true.
I remember seeing posts
The
about
worst
it, how
possible things. All the
there's
latex in there.
all
Oh
those
my God.
masks.
Yeah. You thought the Pacific Garbage Patch was bad before?
It's
Pacific Garbage Patch 2, baby.
2.0,
2.0.
and yeah, that really sucks. It's
Yeah,
not a
it's
fun
horrible.
time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like microplastics are the biggest problem too, right? Because they're spread out over such a gigantic area. That it's like, how do you even begin to counteract that? Are you? Yeah.
I think
wanna-
we should open up
you
that
wanna-
second bottle.
Yeah. Give everybody. I'm gonna finish this guy.
We're drinking wine, everybody.
Surge.
2 viewers, guys.
Fuck yeah, man. Reaching the big leagues.
Here you go. Give me your cup.
Oh, hold up. Everybody can hear us drink. They can hear all the gross stuff that goes on in a mouth. I don't know about you, but I've always found like watching somebody eat like is really gross. You know what I mean?
Biological functions are usually gross.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like that guy in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Like yeah.
Like
in
the
Lord of the
King
Rings,
Lord of the
when
Rings, yeah.
Denethor
Or
is
the steward.
the steward. Yeah, the steward of Gondor. He's not a king, man. He's a
He's not
false
king material. yeah.
Anyway, Yeah, you can tell he's not king the way he eats, man. He eats like a pig. You know what I mean?
Sing me a song,
While
boy.
while his son is riding to his death. Great scene, by the way. Is there any bad scenes in Lord of the Rings? I think they're all perfect, but I think they're all A+.
I think it should be my podcast's drinking game is going to be references to Lord of the Rings
Yes.
and Joe Rogan,
And
and
Joe
it's
Rogan
whatever drink
references.
whenever we
And Surge shoutouts.
and personal friend shoutouts watching, because we're still very small right now. At some point, we hope that we grow and we have more people than we can recognize. But right now, we're working with 5-10 people, so
That's
we
fine,
know them
man.
all by name, which is awesome.
What I
They're our
like,
biggest fans.
honestly, what I really like about your podcast.
Yes.
You're
welcome.
welcome, Serge. What I really like about your podcast is you have good branding. Like the logo is cool, man, and that's what sells. Like a good logo, man. That's what you need. Look at the Jumpman from Nike. You know, you see that thing everywhere.
Yeah.
And like even in third world countries, and it's kind of like a symbol of like Americanism and almost globalization at the same time. It's huge. It's recognizable.
Online branding
anywhere.
is so important.
It's
You know?
huge. And honestly, that's kind of how a lot of at least artists make their money is merch. So if you have a good logo, you kind of set, man.
People like
People will buy it.
will buy your stickers and
Hell yeah.
T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so easy to make them nowadays.
It is. Well, there's so many different ways of doing it now, and especially now because there's so many YouTubers. Now there's websites that,
so many YouTubers.
you know, you just send them your logo and they slap it on everything
Oh,
and
yeah.
they ship it. They
They'll
do
ship it out to
everything for you.
Yeah, and it's not even that
And
expensive.
But see, they take a
take a
huge
cut.
margin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take a cut.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really depends on how much work you're willing to put in.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I think, you know, I got a press to make T-shirt. I have, you know, a business postal account with Canada Post. Why wouldn't I just do it myself?
Right.
I mean, if I'm, you know, delivering, you know, 24 packages in a month, that's whatever.
Yeah.
If it becomes so big that it's like
Seriously big.
500 plus a month,
Then you'll need
then
to
I will have to go automated, because it'll become a full-time job just to
pack all that shit.
But
yeah.
but then again, that's pretty satisfying. Then you're making making enough
bank, man.
to pay rent, and
Well, that's how it
so,
starts.
yeah.
You start becoming you know.
I can actually
self-sufficient
buy an
yeah.
actual studio and not
Right.
just in, you know, where
Yeah.
this is like where I live. So you know,
and
it's
that's
like
the
having
to get there though, you got to put in the work. Like
yeah.
to be successful in almost anything you do, you got to
You got to be
it,
willing to work for free for like 5 years.
for sure. You gotta make it the thing that you want to do. You can't just kind of half-ass it and
You got to
expect
dress
get
for the
success.
job you want. You have to
gotta get the
work
drip,
towards
baby.
what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You can't just put it on the back burner and say, "Oh, I'm never going to be that person."
I
It's
always
like,
think of that scene in Step Brothers when they show up to the janitor
Yes.
interview in suits and they're all like super dapper.
we're here to fuck shit up.
Yeah, that's a great mindset, man. I don't care what you say. They're gonna get that job every time, man. I would hire a guy in a suit at a janitor interview. You know what I mean?
This
Fucking
job
awesome.
involves cleaning toilets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't
Yeah.
dress for success, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wearing a tuxedo. Wear whatever you want from my closet. Picks out the tuxedos. The guy
So-
has 2 tuxedos. Usually people rent, even
Yeah.
celebrities rent tuxedos. They don't even
Like,
buy them because they're so
It's
expensive.
fucking. How much is a rental for a really nice tuxedo up in
Like
Hollywood?
$1,500.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like
To
you have
buy-
a
to
lot. You
buy
have a
one.
lot of suits.
Well,
But,
they're suits and you know, sports
Just
jackets
blazers
and
and
blazers. Yeah,
jackets.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you see guys on the news with like $5,000 suits, and they're all
They
super
get a
well
budget
fitted.
for that.
They got a
Isn't that
budget.
nice?
Yeah, isn't that that's true? It's part of their
Their brand
persona their
and-
brand.
yeah.
Yeah. So you got to have that. Bill O'Reilly has his own.
Same thing
Suits,
with
yeah.
politicians, like
Yeah.
leaders of political parties.
Hell yeah.
They have a whole fund just dedicated to what they wear,
Right.
what the branding is,
Yeah.
with the what they
Although I
wear.
do find that politicians end up all looking super uniform, just like one, just the suit look. You know what I mean? There's nothing really interesting.
You're not even
going on
allowed to
there.
go very frou-frou with your ties.
No, you
you
gotta
have to
just
be very plain. You know,
very
a few
plain.
stripes. That's it.
I love it when they wear like their their country's national uniforms or whatever, and it's like there's like weird capes and top hats and stuff. It's really cool, especially like the African ones because there's so much color going on and it's super cool. You know, it's
You
like,
know,
why
it's
can't we
ironic
have that here?
because in a lot of developing countries in Africa, Asia, South America, it's really cheap to just go into a tailor, somebody that makes like clothing, and he takes your measurements.
Yeah.
And he says, okay, what would you like? He says, I would like a 3-piece suit, and I would
Right.
like something more casual,
Right.
but still looks professional. And he says, okay, no problem. Come back tomorrow. I'll have it done, and it'll
Right.
be like $200 American, probably even less.
Yeah.
And
And it's like if you were in the
and you
States
get to
doing
pick out all the materials. You get to pick out all the color, what exactly how you like the finish and the cuts.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper than what we do here.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah. It's less commercialized.
It's less commercialized, yet it's refined.
And it's
actually artisan craft, and
I was
it's
gonna say
actually better
there's
quality.
work going into it.
There's work and
craftsmanship.
And
There's-
see,
yeah.
if they would have the same businesses here, you can get some. There are a couple of businesses I know that do custom suits, and you go in and you do the fittings and all that. And I
Right.
guess it's $7,000 to $10,000 just for an estimate. So it's very different than going to Shanghai or
Right.
somewhere in the Philippines or Singapore and being like, yeah, I can get like 4 or 5 suits, different materials. Yeah, they'll be $64 American, and
Right.
you're like, excuse me,
Did I hear that right?
$500 a pop? No, $64. That's where I'm gonna go get my suits now.
It's almost worth to get a ticket.
It's worth the
flying
ticket to
there
go there
and just
and
getting your suit and coming
really.
back.
Well, I mean, it really depends on what kind of clothing you're looking for. A lot of if you go to those, you get a lot of very nice cultural fabrics, and you get.
No, that's cultural
Even-
appropriation. You can't do that.
But see, instead of
No,
having
you're
just
canceled. You're
cotton,
canceled, dumb.
where everything here is made of cotton or synthetics, people are like, there's actually made of linen or actually made of like real materials that
Right.
are a lot more durable. So your clothing will actually last a lot longer and be
But-
more comfortable.
But it's all about the look and the feel, baby. You gotta look sick. You know what I mean? Like, and I wish, I don't want to bring it back to this, but I do. It goes back to the cultural appropriation thing. I would love to wear like a really nice African suit, with a lot of colors and patterns and stuff. But
Didn't you
you'd get-
remember
you'd get
Nancy
blasted,
Pelosi?
man.
Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats all wore this like it was a scarf thing,
I don't remember that.
and it was from a tribe that actually.
Were they visiting a country? or
No,
was it
they
like-
were. It was all about Black Lives Matter, and it was
Okay.
during the time of when people were kneeling during the national anthem.
They're still doing that.
And so you're right, but it was so weird to see them and a lot of people gave them backlash. It was cultural appropriation, kind of like just vote grabbing,
But-
and it
Ridiculous.
actually came from a tribe that was
It probably was
known
vote grabbing.
known for a lot of intertribal warfare and enslaving other tribes, and so it was kind of ironic to see that the democratic establishment used that kind of messaging for what
Right,
they
right.
were going for, and
Yeah.
they were blasted really hard.
But they
for it.
probably went for the aesthetic and like commercial thing of it. That was like, oh, look at
But see, sometimes it's like, to me, the appropriation thing is like, if you don't respect it, I understand the problem. I see why it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
problem. But let's
but if
take
you appreciate it,
let's look
what's
at Alan
what's the
Watts,
issue, man?
for example, a great
Genius.
example, a genius, a philosopher. Alan Watts. He
Genius.
was basically a Zen Buddhist
Yeah.
philosopher that was trying to bring the Zen Buddhism into the Western culture. A very noble goal. And he liked to wear kimonos because they're a lot more form-fitting and they're a lot more comfortable to wear.
You don't get swass in kimonos.
And that's the thing. It was like, oh, well, because I'm not born on the island of Japan, therefore I can't wear a kimono. That's not fair. What if I have a long-standing tradition and I'm a Zen Buddhist and I have
Right.
long respect and
Right.
admiration for the practice?
I think that's actually even more respectable because
Exactly.
you're showing that.
that you're
it has
willing
value
to
to you.
change, and if
Right.
that has value to you.
and what's the
So
point
people
of
should-
culture if not to share it? right?
Exactly.
That's the whole idea. Is you want people to love the things that you do.
And so this is exactly the point where we need to, just like there was an Englishman that moved to Canada and he was so enamored and he loved Aboriginal culture and he wanted to be living off the land and being an Aboriginal from North America. That's what he wanted.
Right.
So guess what? he changed his name to Gray Owl, and he called himself Gray
Sick.
Owl. And he would wear leather
Right.
that he would make himself, and he would he would live in the
When
woods.
was this?
He was a trapper. It was in the early 20th century, so
okay, so
1900s,
Yeah.
before like World War One kind of time.
Yeah.
And basically, a lot of the Aboriginal communities, they welcomed him
course.
into their tribe.
It's a great honor, wouldn't it? I would
And-
think a great honor.
And so, so people would go to the tribe, and then they would say, well, he's actually British. He's actually from Britain. Do you care?
Trying to
His
top
real
him down.
name's Pete McGee, and it's not really Gray Owl. And then they said, why do you allow him to be
Yeah.
Gray Owl? Why do you allow him to live this life? And they
Right.
say, well, he actually he came here and he cares about it. And who are we
Right.
if he wants
If
to
he
live
wants to,
and live this way? Who
Right.
are we to tell him to screw off?
right?
He respects our way of life. He respects who we are, and
Yep.
he's not hurting anybody. We actually like him.
Of
So
course.
it's like, why would we kick
Not only
him
that,
out?
it lends credence to your cultural values if somebody does that for you. You know what I mean? It like nobody owns culture. You know,
And it's always
it's-
evolving. It's always
evolving.
improving or
And
getting
so-
better, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. And you
It's
know,
never stagnant,
No.
like in a picture.
no, exactly. It is. It's not it's also not a straight line, right? There's so many branching paths.
There's no such thing as cultural purity.
No,
Everybody borrows from
Right.
every other culture. It's
that's
know-
what creates new cultures, and that's what enriches pre-existing ones too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look at us in Canada. It's a mosaic, man. We got
beautiful diversity, and it
this
works very
beautiful
well.
diversity. It's
People are very peaceful here.
super peaceful. And if you compare it to somewhere like the States, where it's like the whole idea of the melting pot or whatever, it's also respectable, but clearly something is working here, maybe better than it is in the States.
It's because we respect people's differences more here, where if people say they're from different backgrounds, we say, okay, cool. Instead of in America, it's like, no,
No, you have
you're
to be
American.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the sentiment. It's a lot of nationalism, and which in a lot of circumstances has been used for negative things. But I
But
think
isn't it's
like
not
anything,
it's
it
not
can
bad in
be-
itself.
it can be
Yeah.
used for good
For sure.
things. It can be used
Almost like anything, except for Nazism. Nazism sucks.
well, of course.
But that's extremist nationalism.
And exactly the point. Any extreme is not going to be good, but
Right.
having a little bit of, it's okay to be proud of
Sure.
where you're born, your
almost have to be.
community. How
Yeah.
can you not be proud of your community?
Of
or,
course.
it's like, of course, there's a bit of nationalism where we're all on teams, right? We go to the Olympics and we play for teams, but that doesn't mean we want to kill each other.
But it's good-natured tribalism.
exactly.
It doesn't
it's like
have to be bad.
essentially it's a lot like in the military, where in a lot of military or the police force, it's a lot of regimental rivalry. Like,
Oh yeah, big time.
oh, we're
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
regiment. The
The-
other guys,
the Navy
they
fucking hates
suck.
the Air
They're
Force or-
terrible.
yeah, yeah.
We make fun of those
Right,
guys.
right. But they
when
work
But
together.
they work together,
They
and
work
when it's
together
time to
beautifully.
actually go to war and do
That's
the
right.
work,
They're brothers.
they're brothers.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same mentality we need
sure.
to have, where we're different regiments. We have our diversity, where
Yeah.
we're different camps.
Right.
But
And
we're-
that's fine.
and which
it's
is
a good
fine.
thing. It's a good
That people choose to
Right.
be in those.
As long-
people, you choose your associations.
as long as you don't think
That's a
that
right.
your camp or your tribe or whatever is 100% better than another, and you try to completely destroy that.
And that's the point.
that's where the
where
danger
hate speech comes in,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
Where we can't tolerate.
It's
hate
a double-edged
speech.
sword, really.
Exactly.
But it's like you.
But we need to allow criticism, and we need
Absolutely.
to allow this kind of rivalry, where actually rivalry makes us better. It's
for
kind
sure.
of how
it
regiments
pushes you to innovate.
compete.
Yeah, big
And
time.
they say, we're gonna get better and we're gonna win that championship cup
that's
because we're going to train harder and we're going to get better
that's
than the other teams.
literally the entire premise of
That's
the
how we get
West
better.
is meritocracy, is
Yeah.
rivalry.
So
This is-
it's not a bad thing, but it has to be healthy competition.
no, exactly.
It
Yeah.
has to be a way where we can't be so vindictive or so. You ever play like a sport in high school, or like badminton or
Definitely not.
volleyball, or like the opponent they're very spiteful, and they don't know how to lose, but they know how to win. Or
Right.
they don't know how to win because they're very negative, or
Right.
they try to
They- or
degrade you.
They know how to win a certain way and only a certain way.
But see, this is the thing: is a lot of the time in psychology they teach you this. What do you teach your kids? You don't teach your kids to win one game, and say, "Ha, I won, and you guys all suck."
no, you
Nobody's gonna want to play with you
teach them
anymore.
humility.
You teach them how to win, and
With
how
respect.
to lose,
Yeah.
and how to because you want to win the sum of all games. How do you win the sum of all games? Keep getting invited.
Right.
How do you keep getting
Yeah.
invited? You work with the others,
right.
and you collaborate,
Yeah.
instead of just being an asshole and
Right.
just constantly antagonizing everyone else that
Yeah.
you don't like,
Yeah.
or that isn't you.
That's a good point. It's cool to win, but if you're gonna
But
win like
if
a piece of
everybody
shit,
hates you,
no one's gonna play with you.
no
again.
one's going to invite you again to the
Right.
next tournament.
No,
so
exactly. Yeah.
so that's the whole point.
Right.
It's like that's what we're trying. A lot of the time, that's what psychology and parents try to teach their kids. It's like, it's good to win. I want you to win,
Right.
but you have to not degrade others when you do it, or you have to do it in a way where people still want to hang out with you.
And sports are great for that because, like, naturally it forms camaraderie and bonds with your teammates. If you're playing hockey, you become really close to the guys you're playing with. Maybe on the same line, even those guys are like brothers.
For
to
those
you.
guys, I feel
It's-
like it's true, but the goalie always feels like a bit of an outsider.
well,
and unless
he's
the
got
team
a
helps him,
he's got a precarious position, big time.
the pressure's on,
He's the
right?
linchpin of the team, right?
And if he loses a few goals, everybody on the
Right.
team looks at him and says, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah. But if he steals the game, it's like you're the hero.
Right.
So I don't know. There needs to be appreciation for everyone, I guess. And I don't know. I do feel like sports is a good way to reinforce that mentality in people that, you got to play well with others, but don't be afraid to push yourself to a point where you feel like you need to succeed above others also.
That's a good point. Val, what are we doing on time?
On the live stream on YouTube, we are 1 hour, 2 minutes, 28 seconds.
Pretty good. That's good.
Sick.
Man, this wine's pretty good, eh?
It is, man. I don't even know what I bought, but I bought it.
It's the Rosé Curios.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's what
Corrido?
I bought. That's what I bought because I've seen you with that bottle before, or the red wine equivalent.
Really
of-
good producer. Really
Yeah.
good producer.
I know I'm not like
Can't
a huge. I don't know a lot
Wine
about
guy?
wines, but
You're more into beers.
no, I like wine. I just don't know a lot about it. That's like everything, pretty much everything I say. I like to talk about bullshit, but I don't know anything about anything. So like, take my opinion with a grain of salt.
Yet, we're both in university, so we kind of have a decent understanding, and we're
Sort of.
learning right now, right?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like university is good because you get the theoretical knowledge of things, but you don't necessarily get the practical knowledge of it.
Unless you do co-op.
Yeah, that's true. You can learn, you can read a textbook all day and understand it 100% front to back. But until you've lived it, until you've experienced it, until you work in an environment where that discipline is being, lived, then I don't think you're necessarily getting the whole picture.
And I feel like that education is changing now, where it's online, obviously, but it's going to be, which sucks. But at the same time, it gives you mobility. It gives you the access to see your lectures after the fact. So if
Which
you
is
have
cool.
a shift, you're not missing your lecture. You can
Right.
actually see it. So there are some pros and cons. And
But I do feel like the cons outweigh the pros in this case because
I'm stressing out over the exam. I'm scared that
right?
in the middle of the exam,
You'll lose connection.
I'll have a power out or lose connection, and it'll say, "I'm sorry, you got a D on your exam."
Right. Well, usually there's fail safes for that. Like you'll be able to save your paper.
Well,
before
I'm
whatever.
going to be recording myself taking the exams,
That's a
and
good idea.
just in case
Just in case
anything
you can send it to
happens,
the prof.
I can say I have like an accountability thing where say,
I mean, it's a very tough situation because, I mean, this is unprecedented. Like,
Yeah.
how do you? I feel for a lot of teachers because how do you teach a class? And a lot of them are kind of, let's be real, they're boomers. They don't know how to use technology.
it's difficult for me. I
Right?
have a hard
Oh,
time
yeah.
navigating
Just
my
figuring out.
university's website.
I was like, all right, I gotta download Zoom and like figure
All
out where to
sorts of
get my
third-party
shit and-
apps. You have to
Yeah.
oh, I need a new account on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you have to recover your
Right.
your.
Your password and this and that and that.
It never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. There's always something new to log into. It seems like, but I think the biggest problem with it is that you just, like we were talking about this at the very beginning of the podcast, you lose that face-to-face touch. And in bigger universities, maybe you don't necessarily have that in huge lectures, where there's 200 people. But at least for my university, I know that it's like, classes of like max 50 people. So you feel like there's more of a conversation going on, I guess.
Yeah.
And in online lectures, that's just not the case. Everyone's got their webcam shut off, and it's very impersonal. I don't know. I don't like it.
There's a way where I thought of it like, if you've ever seen Star Trek, there's a scene in the newer movies, the Kelvin universe of Star Trek, where there's
This is not the good universe.
which is not the good one, but I really was inspired by the scene where there's the young Spock is in the school academy, and then it's basically a pod where every pod is an individual person, and the whole pod's a screen, and the AI computer is basically teaching you at your level, at your speed, and you're doing the math on the walls of the pod, and it's a lecture right here, and then it's giving you a practical schematic of what you're trying to do,
Right.
and then you're doing it, and it's actually really useful where we can actually use technology to integrate that education system where you can learn at your own speed. It can teach you in your language, in your dialect. It can do all these customizations, and you don't have to go 7 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Right.
You can go at any time you want.
Yeah.
You just have to clock in the whole system, to do the whole education program at your time, at your leisure, and those things can be really useful.
And that's super cool. And I think that, if I was going to do an online program, that's what I would do. 'Cause I think that the online lectures are kind of...
We still need a location to go to, a learning center.
Yes, but if you can do it on your own time...
If you can do it on your own time,
then it's more
where it's
convenient
like a
for everybody
pod
involved.
where
Yeah.
it's an AI computer, but if it breaks down, you still can have a human being, a professor, come in and
That's right.
actually help you.
Yeah.
That would be really nice to have an education system that
cool.
would be,
But
21st century.
For me, I don't
worthy.
know if I'd like to be taught by an AI, because at the same
You
time...
you couldn't tell the difference
You think
between
so?
that and a person.
You think so?
That's
Because-
what AI is.
But having a mentor is invaluable,
And the AI is going to be a better mentor than any infallible human
But
being.
it's not real. It's not a real...
We
it's not a
design
real
it to
thing.
feel real.
It feels real, but it's not
It'll
real.
have all the
You're not-
information. It'll give you all the
But it-
witty comebacks you want.
Right. That's what I mean. It's theoretical information. It's not practical. Like, you can read it. You can
Until they design the personality, you can decide on what teacher you want the
Yeah.
AI to be.
Everybody
it can
knows.
be Aristotle. It can be Plato. It can be
Dude,
whoever you want it to be.
everyone's going to take fucking Lisa Ann, and you know where that ends. So I'm just saying. Like, there's something about having a real person that can teach you things, through experience, not just reading through a textbook, which is cool, but you need to have that.
Most people learn
personal
through
touch.
experience and not through theoretical
Right.
textbook learning.
Not that there isn't a place for theoretical, because that's a huge part of it.
It is, yeah.
I don't know.
But see, it's like it's actually a lot of the education system currently is designed for women to succeed, and actually a lot of it is that textbook learning. Females, it's statistically proven that they learn
that right?
better in those kind of classroom settings, where men were like, oh, the instruction manual,
Yeah,
throw that
I'll
out.
figure this
We're
out.
gonna figure it out ourselves.
Well, that's
And if
fun,
we
too.
we click something wrong, we're fucked, and we have to call the manufacturer and say we need a new part because I clicked it wrong
Right.
instead of reading the manual. I didn't want to do the homework, so.
And it's interesting that you say that, because
But that's human nature. We
Yeah.
need to account for that in the education system. We
Right.
can't just say, no, you gotta read the instructions. It's like, no, give them a YouTube video how to do it,
right.
or give them.
Oh, and that's how
like-
most people learn now too. I
Yeah.
mean, you can literally learn how to do anything now. You know nothing about cars, doesn't matter. YouTube it. You can
except for
figure it out.
now that they all the car parts are basically instead of being mechanized, they computerize it so you can't fix your own car.
Right. To the point where like they have cars that make fake sounds.
And they need updates.
Yeah.
Imagine a car that
Oh.
needs an.
Yeah, you
so
gotta plug it in for your update.
so what does that mean? Oh, there's a
iOS,
glitch.
7.
My car has a glitch.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound very
That's
safe.
not good, man. Yeah.
Doesn't sound very
Yeah,
road
especially if it's just
secure.
self-driving. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like one of the scariest things I thought about. Like, once everybody has a self-driving car, what if somebody uploads a virus to all these cars? I mean, what's to stop it from completely crippling every car system and causing absolute chaos?
I think that's like basically going to show you the power of the internet and how basically think about it, how people now they get their food from Uber Eats.
Mm-hmm.
So now if the Uber Eats app goes down or a solar flare hits and all our phones go,
man.
where are you going to eat?
Yeah.
You
better
can't
have a
or,
fucking garden.
you don't have an Uber ride bringing you home anymore.
Right.
So you have to find another way to survive and not just survive off of your phone.
Well,
Because
I mean,
we've become so reliant
that's the whole
on
argument
technology.
of the natural man versus the modern man.
And you know what's
technology
funny?
Makes you weak.
The Mennonite and Unirite communities in Canada, they're gonna like nothing's changed.
Yeah,
If a solar
nothing's
flare hits,
right.
they're gonna be like, what?
Well,
What do you mean? What's
no,
what's
but
changed? And we're all gonna be freaking out
Right, right.
because we don't have our stuff anymore,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be like, oh, the farm's
it's
great,
cool, yeah.
life's great.
And they're gonna have all the power because
because they
have
actually
the
know how to
establishment.
build
They
things.
know how to build. They can hire people, that work. But I mean, that is a pretty bad scenario, and it's a very plausible scenario. Like, what's that solar flare that hit Quebec in like 1970 or something? I don't know.
And there was power out
It
for
just fried-
days
yeah, it
and
fried the
days in the
system.
middle of winter,
Oh,
and
God,
it was
must have been
a
chaos.
crazy.
Yeah.
People don't like to think about it, but these things can really happen
On a
on
a dime.
a dime.
On a dime.
I
Look
mean,
at how
think
quick
about
Corona hit.
the asteroids
COVID
actually hit the Earth
Right.
daily. They're not
Oh,
big enough to
well,
they don't get.
They're not
there.
like world-ending.
They're not world ending. They burn up in the atmosphere
But-
most of the time. But see,
Yeah.
the world is a chaotic place, and
Insanely
it
chaotic.
can it's always the attitude of it's never gonna be me that gets COVID.
No,
it's
the
never
others,
gonna be
yeah.
me that gets cancer.
I'm not a
It's-
sheeple.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's gonna be other. When we're gonna be in the battle running, it's going to be this guy's gonna
Right.
get shot, and this
Yeah,
guy's gonna can it. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna
That's
make
right.
it. Right. That's the mindset we have.
Yeah, you're
So,
not just a number on a page, man.
Right. We're always overconfident. Where we're gonna be fine. It's never gonna be me that gets the
but that's-
unlucky. Right.
But that's like evolutionary engineered into our brains. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think that way because
That's
that's
true.
what gets you to survive.
that's
That's
true.
what pushes you through, right? But hey,
Wow.
man, if something hits, somebody's got to die. Some people are going to die. That's
And so, there's the levels of prepping.
Right.
Of course, if you're your entire life is dedicated to prepping, you're kind of missing the
You-
point of joie de
yeah, you're
vivre.
going a little bit overboard in that case. Like, people
Yeah.
with bunkers and stuff like that. It's
Well, I mean, nuclear Armageddon is still
I-
still a thing.
the thing with bunkers and stuff is I would have totally understand that in the 20th century. Where like it was
nuclear
real, man.
weapons still exist, man.
It
It's
still
still a
exists.
problem.
But I think that they're
It's
danger.
bound to have an
their threat.
accident.
You think so?
We've
Yeah,
had
I guess-
multiple nuclear reactor accidents.
true.
We've had
We haven't had
multiple
any
close
bombs
calls with
go off, but-
submarines,
Yeah,
nuclear submarines.
that is true.
In a few hundred years, it's bound to happen that there's going to be some chaotic thing going on.
But that's true. There's a story about a U.S. plane that was carrying like a huge nuclear bomb, and I think it like fell out of the plane somewhere over in North Carolina or something like that, and it
Yeah.
didn't go off, and it was close to a city, and it's like almost a miracle that it didn't go off. So it is true that it's very possible, but I think that the threat level of nuclear weapons is enough. The deterrent factor is enough to make it so that nothing will ever happen. That seems like the case for me. But think about all
world's
the
a
wars.
chaotic place.
Think
man.
about all the wars that would have happened without nuclear weapons if they didn't exist. It's impossible. Like, alternate history is impossible to get into, but I just think that
most war
they're
regular
the ultimate
the
deterrent,
normal
man.
kind of war has ended, but it still doesn't mean that war is over. There's never
No,
going
it's
to be war.
different.
It's just changed forms. Now it's insurgencies.
And
Now
it's mostly economic
economic
and trade wars.
sieges
Yeah.
and sanctions. That's the way of the world.
Well, I mean, hopefully we don't see anything crazy in the next year, in the next couple months. We got to finish 2020 strong, man.
No kidding, man. Well, we can only hope that it'll get better from now, but we don't know. We don't know, and
But
I'm just glad to be here now.
This is the thing. Has 2020 really been worse than other years? Aside from
Yes,
Corona.
yes.
Well, aside from COVID, like if we completely disregarded COVID.
Well, you can't because because COVID affected the
Yeah,
economy
okay,
and
yeah, you're
affected everybody's job losses, and it trickles down
is
from there.
it is a particular year, I guess. Yeah. But I mean,
Catastrophic.
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see
How
goes on next.
the West
like,
bounces back.
so-called normal life, when that comes back, it's going to seem not normal anymore because this is the new normal. I mean,
where people are sick, they wear a mask.
well,
That's good.
I don't think people are going to stop wearing masks, man. I think it's going to be like people are going to wear masks when they go shopping or any public place,
Even
That's
after
the
they
new-
have a vaccine.
even after they have a vaccine, because now it's like a thought virus. Now the thought is always there.
Once the vaccine's in, nobody's gonna want to wear
I don't know,
masks.
man. I don't know. I think the thought is always there that now we're much more aware.
People that are paranoid will always be paranoid.
Yeah.
Most people I know, they say, "Oh, I forgot my mask in the car."
That's
oh,
true.
oh,
No biggie.
it's
But also we live in a country that we can say that. If we lived in the States, I wouldn't forget my mask anywhere.
yeah, 300 million people. It's a bigger issue than in Canada where we're 35 million.
Yeah.
And we're a lot more spread out.
Right. We're on an island here.
We're
I mean,
essentially an
We still have cases, but it's not like the States where like 100,000 people died. You know what I mean? Just in the States alone.
Stay away from me.
Hey, look at that.
Stay
That's
away.
That's a legit mask, man.
Gotta be prepared.
That's the thing. It's funny how everyone's like ordering very custom masks now. Yeah. They'll have like
I saw people wearing black ones,
yeah.
and so like it goes with your like outfit better
Right.
than the blue one. I was like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
cool.
the ugly blue one. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one
yeah.
looks way too.
It looks like you look
It's
like in a hospital. Yeah.
Right. And no one wants that, right? You need
You want to look
need the
chic.
personalized
Yeah,
mask.
yeah.
But it's funny. It's like a new fashion statement. It's
Well,
like a
it's funny
new-
because
new
there's the
thing.
disposable ones, and I also have like a Under Armour one where it's like you put in the
Right.
wash. But
But-
you see, it's like they were showing
Yeah.
people like, oh yeah, from the wash right to your face. That's how people like this. The WHO thinks we use masks.
Right.
The reality is like reaching behind your car seat where there's
Yeah,
like
where
dust
the
all
fuck
on the
is it?
ground,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, the kid's toy.
There's a couple popcorn kernels on it or
popcorn kernels.
something,
Oh, there's my mask, and
Yeah.
it's super disgusting.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, let's put. And you're like, you're actually gonna get more sick from wearing
Right,
that
just for-
mask
not
full
even
of
COVID, it's just-
bacteria
yeah.
on your face than a regular just mask.
Well, honestly, I kind of like it because it means that like no one can see how ugly you are. First of all, and like
It's a huge
everybody-
bonus for
yeah.
people that are not good looking.
Secondly, everybody looks like a ninja, which is fucking sick. And then, like, you can personalize it, so you can have anything on your mask. But it is interesting. I think it's cool to see, man.
And the whole, people in America saying it's against my rights.
Oh,
to
yeah,
wear a mask.
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's funny. You can't wear a fucking mask for like.
It's called
a couple months,
being
man.
courteous.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
called being not rude.
Dude, it's like for your own good. It's for your
Yeah,
own
exactly,
good, man.
yeah.
Just do it. Like, why is it such a? But I mean, there's different than most of the world, right? So.
But you can't blame me for being like, oh yeah, okay, all right.
Oh, sure. Everybody has those times.
Losing
where
my
it's like, yeah.
patience a little,
Yeah.
All right.
Even just getting into the LC, you have to wear a mask now.
Yeah.
It's mandatory. So.
Can't blame me for
Right.
being like that.
So it's like
but-
shit. If you're in a spot, oh shit, I need like a glass of wine. If I'd forgotten my mask, it would have been like shit.
Well, see, I'm even like we even concerned of like people using the mic after you, right? Am I gonna have
Right.
to spray down the
You're gonna
mics,
fucking
or
Lube it up and disinfect it.
Well, you know what? Now, funny enough, we got a fumigator, so we're able to fumigate the whole place
That's
very
sweet.
easily, not
Cool.
have to wipe down surfaces directly,
Yeah,
which is a lot better for
a lot
like,
better, a lot
a
more
studio,
efficient.
a lot
that's
more
for sure.
efficient. Yeah.
It's like, and that's like, when are we gonna get back to any kind of normalcy, like with big event wise? Like we were talking about at the beginning, is concerts. Like, dude, how is that gonna work without a vaccine? And like realistically, when are we gonna get a vaccine?
Well,
if we're
A
lucky,
few
in a
countries are
year-
working on it.
They're working
and
on it.
It's 6 months from now, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would risk it, man.
They are already doing trial tests, and there were neurological problems. So that's why
Right.
they're going back. They're going back to fix
And
it.
there's always going to be another problem unless they seriously vet the vaccine. So I mean, who knows?
What are you?
man?
What are you denying vaccines?
No. I'm just saying.
You conspiracy theorist.
For this particular one, we're not necessarily at risk from the virus, right? So I think we'd be more at risk if we took the virus, or we took the vaccine.
Kind of like the
rather than-
H1N1.
Yeah, if it's not a properly vetted vaccine,
I remember
and we
when there
take
was
it.
H1N1, and it was the big thing was you have to get it, but if you were already sick,
then there's no
there's
point.
no point
Right.
because you're just gonna be. It doesn't.
Right.
You're already sick.
But in this one, in COVID, there has been cases of people getting reinfected with it after having it. So it's kind of hard to figure out.
And it's morphing too. It's because it's changing, morphing, where it's maybe the vaccine will only work for a year, and then we'll have to keep
Right.
figuring out new antibiotics for it.
Which could be the case. Who knows, man?
Nature's trying to get rid of us.
I think we're seriously lucky that it was kind of like a really weak virus.
And it's
Yeah.
not as deadly as we initially thought,
Not
where it
nearly
was
as
like
deadly. It's still
airborne,
deadly.
like the Outbreak
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
You remember that?
Oh yeah.
When
it's complete
H1N1 was
chaos.
at the complete peak,
Its peak. It
people
wasn't
were
even-
playing Outbreak on TV, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is not. Why are you playing
right.
Outbreak, where the government almost nukes a town,
Right.
because they're like, we gotta stop the threat before it gets out.
Right.
And you're like, oh, what are you gonna do? The civilians, the
I don't
the
know, man.
innocent people,
I
and you're
think-
like, we gotta do it for the military. The military's gotta do what it's gotta do. And you're like, oh my god.
For the good of most people.
It's
But-
kind of scary to think about, but that's kind of how an outbreak works. And you know what's the
Hey,
scary
man.
part is that Winnipeg,
Neither the
we
many.
have the biggest bacteria lab in Canada where
Yeah.
we do all the research.
I don't
in-
even
in
want to
Winnipeg.
think about the shit.
So
that
think
they
about
store
them,
in there.
you know. But you
Right.
know what, Canada, we have to give them some props. Canada's safety record for nuclear and
It's
health
pretty
concerns,
spotless, man.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty
damn good.
high up there in the standards and
Yeah.
and safety
Well-
regulations.
Well, we don't have to deal with a lot of natural disasters either. I mean,
Yeah, a
like,
few tornadoes, a
if
few
you know, the east,
high
the East Coast gets
tides.
hit by maybe some tropical storms every now and then.
very
maybe
rarely.
some flooding.
A bit
here
of
and there,
wind,
but
very rarely.
It's like almost nothing.
We get a long, hard winters is what
Yeah.
we get.
Which maybe compensate for it because it's more regular, I guess.
No kidding, eh?
Got to live with it, man. But I'm ready. I think it's going to be good for COVID. People are going to stay in, actually, and hopefully people find hobbies to do instead of just wasting their time too.
You can only hope, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, this has been a fun
Yeah.
hour and a half.
This is chill.
This is a fun time. I like the feel of what we're going for. I
Yeah,
like
Besides the technical difficulties.
besides the technical
But
difficulties.
now it's like now we figured it out, so it's like whatever.
And I kind of feel you're getting a more of a feel for it is kind of a getting good with the flow or going
Yeah.
with the flow more. It's it's a fun process.
It's crazy because like a podcast is like a different format of conversation. Like at
Yeah.
a party,
yeah.
where
There's
you
the
can just-
music's blasting and
you
you're
have
like
to yell, you
struggling.
can barely hear each other.
Yeah.
Everything is very clear, but it's still fun to have a conversation this way. So I think it's cool, man. Especially with wine.
No kidding. Cheers, brother.
I drank it all, but that's all good.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, for tuning in. We're going to be doing an episode once a week. So every Tuesday morning, we'll be releasing an episode every week. We're doing it live on Monday evenings. So basically, tune in if you're interested and tell your friends, subscribe, and share. consciousqueriespodcast.com. And that's basically it. Thank you so much
Yeah,
to
man, thanks
Julien
for having me.
Simard for coming on. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully next time we won't have any technical difficulties. Probably will. But yeah. All right. Well, it was a pleasure. I bid you farewell. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right, man. Thanks so much for coming.